What if you could silence the noise of the world and access inner bliss? What if you knew the shining formulas for overcoming the enormous challenges that every soul faces? Welcome everyone, I'm Shakti Durga. Mystery School podcast, Ancient Wisdom for Everyday Life, will explore the ancient wisdom of the East and West, sharing stories and music, channeling light beings, scanning the unseen world, learning useful spiritual tools, and bringing forth peace, love, purpose, and abundance. In Mystery School, we co-create and share sacred frequencies, sending ripples of love that empower new possibilities to ignite our spirits, overcome obstacles, manifest our most inspired life, a life where your challenges become doorways to your deepest truth, where you anchor yourself in clarity and presence, not from your pain, but from the doors it opens into the deepest wisdom that's already within you. Your path has already begun. It's right beneath your feet. Let's illuminate that path together. Hi, everybody. Nice to be back with you again on the other side of Navaratri 2025. Always such a huge period of spiritual awakening. It is 9 nights or 10 days of bathing in the love and light of the goddess. And whilst the stories utilize the names from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from the yogic texts, they're universal and timeless teachings that are taught during Navaratri. And I've got to say that every year when I focus on Navaratri, I really feel transformed by the end compared to how I felt at the beginning. And it's hard to describe because when you're talking about spiritual awakening, I think a lot of the time when we're in our ego self, we think that there's an end point. We think it's like a race. You get to the end of the race and someone's going to wave a flag and say, "Hi, you're there." But I actually don't think that happens with spiritual awakening. My view is that provided that you are still breathing, you are able to keep awakening. And I think it helps to have your mind intact as well for the process of awakening to occur. So whilst you've got a mind and you've got a heart and you've got breath, then awakening is still possible. It says in the Vedic scriptures that even Saraswati, the goddess Saraswati, who's the goddess of learning and the arts and literature, it's said that she's still evolving. And if she gave learning to humanity and she gave learning to the universe, then if she's still evolving, then I think we should take every cue we can from stories like that and keep evolving ourselves. I thought today it would be nice to just think about, okay, well, what is spiritual awakening? And it's certainly a very personal journey, and different people will have different needs and desires and objectives with their spiritual awakening. So my comments are kind of general comments, I suppose. And for me, I think the most essential part is that there's a shift in spiritual awakening from thinking I'm this body, I'm what's behind this skin, and instead we're moving into this different universe where we actually perceive ourselves to be one with the whole cosmos, that I am this, I'm one with my higher soul, and my higher soul is already one with your higher soul as well. So we're coming from I, me, my, meaning this individual thing, to the word I or I am, meaning a completely different thing. When one is in a really connected and heightened state of consciousness and refers to self, that self is more of a universal self. And this is a very important point for understanding many of the world's scriptures as well, because generally speaking, when the great prophets and the great world teachers are talking about I am the way, or, this is the teachings are coming through me, then what are they referring to? They're not referring to the ego. They're referring to the I am, the Christ consciousness or the Krishna consciousness, that part of self that's already connected to the everything. So spiritual awakening is the journey for us to spend more and more of our time in this state of consciousness that is much more expanded My background when it comes to vocational training and all that sort of thing, I started off as an economics graduate, as a law graduate, and then practiced law for many years before retiring to become a spiritual teacher. And of course, I did a lot of training during my law years as well in different spiritual things, lots of meditation, lots of healing, lots of things. But the consciousness shifts that I've seen over that time have been truly astonishing. And so I'd just like to share with you some of the things that I think about with spiritual awakening and see if it rings any bells for you. So this shift from I, me, my to the mighty I am and that I am that is also accompanied by a sense that so's everybody else. So there's no arrogance in it. There's no thinking I'm better than you. There's no thinking, wow, I've found the way and so I must in some way be superior. If we're in that consciousness, we're actually still in the egoic separate consciousness. So that's just a little tip that I've learnt the hard way over the years, I suppose. So letting go of the limiting thoughts and limiting behaviors so that we can allow our soul's creativity to emerge. How many of us spend a lot of our time trying to fit in with everybody else and trying to be a good girl or a good boy and trying to do the right thing and wondering why sometimes we're doing what we're doing or being on automatic pilot so we don't really think about what we're doing, we're just in a habit and that's what we do. So as spiritual awakening occurs, we start to look at various aspects of our life to see, you know what, I'm not sure whether or not I want to continue with these particular habits. So when I was a younger woman, I was beset by thinking that I wasn't good enough. This was just something that seemed to be part and parcel of who I was someone who, wasn't as good as that person. There were brighter people, there were more beautiful people. I just never seemed to feel in my own space that I was good enough. But I didn't realize also that I was comparing myself to other people and that by definition that comparison is because I was in my ego's consciousness. And so the habit of moving from feeling unworthy or not good enough to feeling that I'm okay just being me has been a major breakthrough in my own life. And it's happened incrementally. So that in some areas I could hold that consciousness, but in other areas I'd fall back into comparison again. And so I'm wondering, how is it for you? Are there areas where you can go, yep, I can look myself in the eye and I can go, you're doing okay, it's all right. And I can be kind to me. I can look after me because I'm worth looking after, because I'm worthy of care. I'm worthy of the good things that I want to have out of this beautiful world that we're living in. And so shifting this dynamic little by little has been a really important part of the puzzle piece for me. Now, I've got to say that when I learned to meditate and became an avid meditator and eventually came to a place where when I meditate, I just feel a lot of bliss and that the bliss is pervasive. It's a whole body experience of bliss. But it wasn't like that when I started. It came in bit by bit. But the experience of bliss can lift us out of or transcend whatever it is that our personality is going through. And this is a wonderful part of spiritual awakening. And it's something that I recommend that people practice regularly, daily, if you can. But I also would say that you don't want to use transcendence as an escape from doing the grounded work that we need to do on our personalities, whereby we need to bring the inspiration that our higher self gives us in that blissful state to try and support the lower nature into knowing that we're enough. And for me, this is a major practice. And this means that for me, spirituality and spiritual awakening and spiritual practice is not just about how well I'm meditating or the bliss of mantra or receiving blessings from illumined beings, which generally puts you into bliss faster than anything else I've found. But instead of that, it's really utilizing these energies in your own life and and weaving these things together so that there's a weaving of all that bliss into these little bits of self that feel isolated, that we feel like we're not quite dressed right for the party, or you know what I'm saying, we're feeling like we're not quite where we need to be. So one of the things that I've found really helpful for that particular issue is to start utilizing some affirmations or positive mindset to really start to recalibrate the way my unconscious egoic self is bringing the world to me. I really think that each of us is a magnet, and that what we are doing from the whole universe of all possibility is we're magnetizing into our own life certain things. We can do other podcasts about why. How is it that sometimes we magnetize such awful things into our life? That's a whole other subject, which we can look at another day. But if we just look at, okay, so everything's being magnetically attracted to me. Where's the magnet? That's what we need to know. The magnet is in your subconscious. It's not really your conscious mind. It's in your subconscious. So you've got this powerful magnet that is subjectively pulling from the field of all possibility, the timings of things, whether they're lovely things or whether you just miss the bus or the opportunity or the circumstance that would really light you up and make you really happy. You just miss it, you know? And that's when the inner landscape is not quite pointing in the direction you want to go. So your subconscious is still affected by this problem of feeling separate and unconnected to what it is that you feel is important and where you want to go in your life. But the good news is that this inner magnet can be redirected. And we redirect that inner magnet by the use we make of our conscious mind. So instead, if we're just missing things all the time, if we're almost getting the opportunities but they're not quite landing, for instance, or if people just are not seeing us for who we are and what we can bring to the world, whether we're missing out on job opportunities or we run events and they're not really well attended, or whatever it is that's happening, we just need to redirect our conscious mind and visualize getting exactly what it is that you think you could really add value to the world, to life, to everything. And so you just bring your awareness to seeing loads of people coming to your event, or to seeing yourself in a job where people love you and they're treating you really well, or seeing yourself surrounded by people who want to help you, they're kind to you, and they love that you love them too. You know, they're receptive to love from you and they want to give that love back again. So there's a lovely flow happening. So we have to start to use our imagination. I don't know about you, but I wasn't taught to use my imagination when I was a schoolgirl. It wasn't very fashionable back in the day. But I think maybe now people are getting more access to quality tools at a younger age to help them with their imagination. And I also think that perhaps there's more of an emphasis on the importance of things like art and music and meditation and creative visualization as mechanisms for us to start to connect with this important piece of being able to visualize with our conscious mind, knowing that we are starting the process of redirecting the inner magnet. And so with practice, so it's not a once-off, it's practice, like getting fit. In my universe, I reckon it'd be really good if you could just go to the gym once and you got really fit. I think that'd be fantastic. But we all know that doesn't happen. So just like going to the gym requires many, many experiences for the result you want, so it is that doing spiritual practices requires many, many experiences, and regularity is key. And so the regularity with which you can put your visualization into the mirror of your mind, into, you know, that window in the mind that can visualize, Again, if you're someone who was like me and couldn't visualize much because you were so left-brained, that was me back in the day, really good at, the usual things, reading, writing, and arithmetic, not really very good at visualizing, then we can learn. That's the good news. So back in the day, if I was trying to learn to visualize, I was hopeless at it. For instance, even just visualizing a color, I couldn't do it. I would have to go and look at something that color. For instance, I was trying to visualize red in a meditation way back. Couldn't see it for the life of me, but I had a red car. So I actually looked out the window at my red car, then closed my eyes and tried to visualize it, and I found that I could. And so with practice, I didn't need to look out the window anymore. I could just visualize the red without the stimulus of opening my eyes and looking at something. So it's a skill you can learn. I know that because I had to learn it. And now I'm very good at visualizing. So how about from this, you start to look at, okay, spiritual awakening. There's definitely going to be time we spend in transcendence. There's definitely going to be a shift in my consciousness from me being separate to me being connected to everything, me being one with everything. And in that oneness, we're going to start to realize that the things I experience in my life are a reflection of what the inner magnet that is programmed by our deep, often subconsciousness is just bringing stuff to us. And so we're going to reprogram. And one of the strongest ways to do that is use visualization. I often combine transcendent practices with visualization so that as I'm coming back into my body from a transcendent state, I'll start to visualize the things that are on my, lovely to have list or what I'm trying to manifest. So manifesting is a spiritual practice. If you do it from the perspective that I'm actually one with all creation and I'm coming into this purposefully as an exercise in spirituality, not just because my ego wants to be special by manifesting these special things. I mean, that's all right at the beginning. But if you're talking about actually spiritual growth, you'll find that usually the universe will do an intervention after you've started to manifest a few things that it's like bam, 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 you're just manifesting all these things right at the beginning and you go, yay, this really works. Then it will change. And that does not mean you're doing something wrong. It means the universe is going into teaching mode to say, yeah, that's how it works. But now the job is to move from I being a separate egoic vehicle to I am, which is one with everything. And if you can start to make that leap and then do your manifesting from that place, you're going to find that your manifesting will have a lot of heart in it. There'll be a lot of lift and shift in it. And you'll even find over time that the kinds of things that you're wanting to manifest start to shift as you're fully inhabiting the larger part of who you be. So that's a fair bit, isn't it, for this little session together? But yeah, spiritual awakening. We'll do some more on this, but spiritual awakening, it's the journey from thinking that I'm this separate person and that everything's out of my control to realizing, no, I am part of the essence of the creative force and I'm learning how to be that. And simple things like manifesting exercises, manifesting that I love me, and then finding other people in your life starting to reflect that back to you. You're magnetizing more loving people towards you. That's a shifting consciousness. That's amazing. So make sure you try and notice these things when they start to happen. Keep a journal, because sometimes on the path it's good to have evidence that things are starting to shift, that you know internally something's shifting, but seeing things shifting in your world is really reassuring. So I think we'll leave it there. And then maybe when we come back next time, we might just have a little look at, why do we manifest some of the awful things that perhaps we've all been through in life? I don't think there's anyone I know who's never been touched by tragedy, grief, or sadness. So why do we manifest that? What's that all about? We might look at that next time. Until then, take care of yourself and remember that every day is an opportunity to connect with the divine and expand yourself into more spiritual awakening, spiritual awareness, because that is why we're here. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Mystery School, Ancient Wisdom for Everyday Life. Be the detective of your spirit and soul and seek the doorways to a new reality. Take one insight from today and let it illuminate your path. Visit shantimission.org to learn more about our other programs, meditations, and resources for living with ease and grace, and sign up for our free Soulful Relationships Masterclass. In this class, we'll cleanse and purify the relationship energy in a key relationship in your life. Previous students have experienced rapid transformation in their marriages, in their relationships, with family, work colleagues, teenagers, just from this one practice. And you'll have a spiritual key to successful relationships that you can use again and again. Sign up for the free masterclass at shantimission.org. And we'll be back at 3 p.m. Pacific time every first and third Monday for Mystery School. Mark it in your calendar. We'll see you next time.